Hello and welcome to Movies with MacLean. I'm not Andrew MacLean, but this is his weekly podcast where we discuss movies, game shows, the Wheel of Fortune, and dick size.
I'm Andrew MacLean, and I don't know if we'll be talking about all those things today, but we will talk movies. And with me today, as you just heard, is Michael Magnus, and also with me today is Nick Saganik. So how are you guys today?
Great to be back.
Muy bien.
Muy bien, as they would say down there in Costa Rica.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
We have a great show today. Our main topic is baseball movies, but before we get into that, we have a lot of other things to talk about, including Star Wars Celebration was this weekend, so we have a lot of Star Wars news to get to. They kicked off the celebration with the 40 Years of Star Wars panel, and surprise, they brought out George Lucas, Harrison Ford. It was a great panel and a great celebration of the past 40 years of Star Wars. Pretty much all the original cast was there, and it was great to see guys like George Lucas and even Hayden Christensen really celebrated by the fans. And even some of the people who weren't there called in, had some funny videos. Liam Neeson called in, said he was busy filming the Darth Jar Jar movie, so that was real funny. And then it was just good to see George Lucas talk and reflect on the past 40 years and say how he said one thing that I think maybe some people thought was a shot at the fans, but he said Star Wars is for 12-year-olds, but what he expanded on, and I think it was good that he said that, is that it's a film about like coming of age, sort of, for Luke, and it's a film about good and evil, and he made it sort of for everybody, but it's also best for 12-year-olds to watch because it teaches them a lot about like growing up in life and about like good versus evil. So that was what stood out to me. And then they ended the panel with the tribute to Carrie Fisher, and then John Williams. Surprise, they hid him behind a curtain and an entire orchestra. They were hiding in the room, and then they performed Star Wars music. So it was a pretty great panel, pretty good celebration of Star Wars. Either of you anything interested you about that panel? Or?
And I didn't see much of it, but I'd love to see a Darth Jar Jar movie.
Yeah.
I think if that was real, I'd be very happy.
I think we would be remiss if we didn't say rest in peace, Aaron Hernandez. He took his own life earlier today. He actually didn't do that, though. He's still alive. And if he is dead, he did not kill himself. So if everybody could spread the word about that, that'd be a great help.
Okay, thanks, Michael.
It's fair.
And last thing I want to say on that, it was just really great to see George and Harrison and Mark Hamill all sitting up next to each other. First time that's happened for a long time. And then we did get into the next day, the Last Jedi panel. So here we actually got a lot of news about the upcoming film. One of the biggest pieces of news is that Kelly Marie Tran, who is sitting there on the image next to Mark Hamill and John Boyega, will be playing the character of Rose, who is a maintenance worker in the Resistance. And Rian Johnson, the director, actually said that of all the new characters, she has the biggest role in the film. So that means that she's got a bigger role than Benicio del Toro and Laura Dern, who we both know are also in it. So I was a little surprised by that, but what do you guys think of this new character? Do you think that she could be like a love interest for Finn? Because that's what I think, that's the route I think they're going to take. What do you think, Nick?
I could see that, but I think she also might just be like a little hero, because I mean, they're trying to work in like chicks as like antagonists of the story now, and they're like a big part. So I think she could definitely just be like
protagonist.
Protagonist. Yeah.
Great job.
I mean, words are tough sometimes, but you know that's what I meant. But yeah, she's a strong, independent woman. Is what I'm thinking.
What ethnicity is she?
Some Asian. I don't
Filipino.
Know. I don't know. But I do know that
yeah, she's. I'm just going to cut you off. I'm sorry. She's definitely going to be a love relationship for Finn. They're trying to promote that. It's not okay, but
what's not okay?
I'm not going to say it. Okay. But like they're definitely going to make that like a love relationship now because they're trying to such a progressive society today where we're going to have things like that.
Alright. I do think that she could add some humor too, because I know that she's known for her comedy. And then we also heard a little bit, John Boyega talked about Finn maybe not wanting to stay with the Resistance, trying to decide between running away from his responsibilities or staying with the Resistance, and I could see how that could be interesting because he ran away from the First Order in the first film, and then sort of got thrown into this and ended up getting seriously injured. So that could be a compelling story arc. What do you think about Finn? What do you think we're going to see with Finn in the new film, Nick?
I feel like he's not going to be as big of a character as he was in the last one. But
I think they're going to focus more on Rey.
Yeah, but they're definitely going to have him on the side and kind of I feel like we're going to be looking at him differently in this movie than we did in the last movie for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
Why is that?
Because.
Well,
Say it.
I don't know, man.
All right.
I think I get what he's saying. In the first one, we were all rooting for Finn, and now in this one we're gonna see he's got tougher decisions to make, and maybe he might not make the decision that we as fans would want him to make. And then
the dark side. He's not careful.
I don't think that. But then they revealed the poster, the official poster for The Last Jedi, and I think the poster is just awesome. We got that image, classic throwback image, Rey holding up the lightsaber, just like the original Star Wars poster with Luke in that image, and then split down the side, Luke half of his face and half of Kylo's face. I think this is a great poster, one that definitely worthy of being on my wall, and I like that it's not too busy like the last one was for Force Awakens. Force Awakens, they had 15 characters on there, just keeping it simple with 3 characters. Michael, what do you think of the poster?
I'm a big fan of this poster. I really look just like any modern art, and this really did a great job of displaying modern and art.
Okay.
Modern and art. Modern is now a noun.
Nick?
Yeah, I like it. I like how it kind of brings back some memories.
Yeah.
Think of the old ones.
Yeah, and I think it's sort of symbolic of how we don't know Rey also is at risk of turning to the dark side. I mean, they haven't really played with that yet, but Snoke was obviously able to manipulate Kylo, so we could see if Kylo becomes too weak, we could see her maybe being tempted to the dark side. So see the pull there. Half of the poster has Luke, half has Kylo, so we could see she could go either way. And then the poster obviously very red, so that's.
But yeah, she's got the blue lightsaber.
She does have the blue lightsaber. I think we're all right.
Okay.
We're all right.
Okay.
Don't do that.
I didn't know.
Yeah, no. And then after the
Touchscreen?
yeah.
Is this new?
No. All right, but after
Wait, is it still going?
Hey, yes. We after the poster was revealed, we got the trailer, and we saw a lot, but my opinions on the trailer is that I didn't see anything I wasn't expecting to see, but there was a lot in there that really popped off to me that I thought was really cool. So, Nick, what really stood out to you in this trailer? What was your favorite scene in the trailer?
I don't know. I just like seeing Luke Skywalker.
Like to hear him speak?
Yeah, just to hear him and see him doing things. Because you got a little glimpse of him in the last one, but he didn't really do much. You don't know what he's been up to. A little mysterious.
Yeah, and you think that his faith in the Jedi Order has been tested. Obviously, he says the line, "It's time for the Jedi to end." So, he's been there probably studying the history of the Jedi for 30 plus years, and he maybe sees that that's not what the galaxy needs at this point.
I didn't like that. That just made me feel bad.
Well, think about it. Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, Luke comes to him. He says, "I cannot train him. He's too old, too impatient." So maybe he just sees that the old Jedi training isn't what Rey needs at this time. And then that might actually be towards the beginning, and then we do see him train her, because I think the trailer might be sort of flipped, how we see him say that at the end of the trailer, but then at the beginning we see sort of training, so I think the training might come after that. We'll see. Other stuff that popped off to me, we got Poe Dameron, looks like his X-Wing explodes again, and then we see someone flying the Falcon. Now, obviously Chewie still, but who could be Chewie's co-pilot? Maybe Poe Dameron. I think that'd be pretty awesome.
I can see it.
And then it looks like Finn still in his coma state, at least for part of the movie, so that could go to part of what you said, how we're going to see less of him in this film. Michael, did you see anything that really got you excited?
Negative.
Okay. I expected as much. Well, that's about all we have on Star Wars news. I know there was a lot. A few other things that just I'll mention real quick. We had the Battlefront 2 trailer, and they announced that there's going to be a canon story within Battlefront that fills the gaps between episodes 6 and 7. That will involve both Luke and Kylo Ren, so that's pretty awesome. And we got new books and comics that are going to fill the gaps under the new line Journey to the Last Jedi, so that's going to be pretty cool. And Kathleen Kennedy did confirm that Carrie Fisher will not be in Episode 9. We had those reports of Todd Fisher saying that they asked him if they could use archive footage. Well, Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, has now said they will not be using archive footage. So Carrie Fisher, we will see the conclusion of her role in Star Wars in Episode 8.
R.I.P.
Yes. And Mark Hamill really did have a great tribute to Carrie Fisher. I'd recommend everyone will go watch that on Star Wars YouTube page. Now we're going to move into other movie news. We just have one major story, and that is that James Gunn will be returning to write and direct Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, Volume 2 is about to come out in a couple weeks, but they've already announced now Volume 3, no release date set. But does this excite you, Nick?
Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy is a great movie. Can't wait to see number 2. Just thinking about number 3.
Yeah, and I think this only makes sense that they would do a third. I mean, the first one was such a hit, it looks like the second one's going to expand on that.
Yeah,
and,
there's no reason not to make another one.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they're not too similar, but I think that they have a way of not making it too similar. Is that Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't just mean those 5. That could be any number of new characters could make up the new Guardians. And I think that whoever they introduce in these new films is going to be sort of who's going to carry, along with Spider-Man, who's going to carry the Marvel Cinematic Universe after Avengers 4, when those other characters are no longer going to be around if their contracts run out. I think this is the direction they're going to want to take the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What do you think, Michael?
This is just an unpopular opinion, but I've tried to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, a few times. I've just never been able to get into it.
That is a very unpopular opinion.
I don't know why. Everything I've heard is like good about the movie. I put it on, it was on TV, and I just lose interest. I don't know what it is. That raccoon guy, what's his name?
Rocket.
Kind of creeps me out a little bit, but I just lose interest.
Bradley Cooper, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't liked Bradley Cooper, but I just lose interest.
All right.
Weirdo.
That's Magnus's take. But I'm definitely excited about this. It could be one of the first films of like Phase 4 of Marvel Cinematic Universe after they conclude with Phase 3 in 2019. So I'd say probably 2020 you could expect this movie to hit theaters. So now we're going to move into a recurring segment that we've done once before. We're going to give it another go here today. Michael Magnus has Mickey's Minute, where he's just going to rant about whatever for a minute. So Michael, whenever you're ready.
Hold on.
Mick, how was your week? Oh, okay.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Are you ready for this?
That's right. Mickey's Minute is back and better than ever. Today, we're going to talk about the Jewish circumcision ceremony that is known as the bris. Sagamic, you just received your circumcision 2 weeks ago. How are you feeling?
I'm still a little sore, but I'm looking good down there. I'm looking extra good. Never looked this good before.
Clean cut?
Yeah, clean.
That's good, yeah. I remember last summer, I was talking to my mom, and I just asked her for the name of my circumcising doctor. I want to tell him thank you, because he gave me a really clean cut down there. I just wanted to find out who it was, because he just did a great job. I was going to recommend him to some of my friends, but it turns out that he died. It's not funny. She was very upset about it. She had been going to see him for a while, but he's no longer with us. Rest in peace.
But what else does she see him for?
I don't know what's the name of like the doctor who delivers babies. I feel like he had another I feel like he's a pretty good doctor, so like he has some other things. But Sienna, did you eat your foreskin?
I did not. I hear that's a thing. some places,
Yes,
but I've never really been
I
about eating
believe they
foreskin.
do that in Canada, as well as the Pacific Northwest.
Do you cook it or you just eat it raw?
Many things, soups, sometimes sushi. Sushi, where it's like they just substitute like a salmon for a piece of salmon for just a piece of foreskin.
I think it'd definitely be
Tomato,
good to like
tomato.
dry it out, make some like
Jerky.
yeah.
That's
Some
also a
foreskin
common
jerky
one,
is
yeah.
definitely not a bad
Yeah.
thing.
The market for foreskin's hot though. I'm sure you got some good money for selling that.
All right, I'm gonna have to cut you off. It's been over a minute. Good one though. That's
that-
a good Mickey's minute.
That was Mickey's Minute.
That's a nice second go. I think an improvement on the first edition, and I'd say that if you're listening, you will see Mickey's Minute return. Well done, Michael.
We
So
call that a tease in the podcast business.
yeah. So we are gonna finally move into our main discussion of baseball movies. We have baseball season just starting. A League of Their Own with Tom Hanks has hit Blu-ray finally. So
Interesting.
that's one of the reasons we're doing this. And that music that you heard as we opened the podcast was from Moneyball. So the first baseball movie we are talking about today is Moneyball. Nick, what are your thoughts on Moneyball?
Thought it was a good movie. It's always good to see fat Jonah Hill. It's also strange to see like serious Jonah Hill, but I'm kind of a fan. He should do more serious stuff. But as far as baseball goes, it's a pretty strong movie. Not probably my favorite, but I like it.
Yeah, it's a very well-made film. I'd say that Jonah Hill, while he is more serious in this film, he is still the comic relief.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it. I think it's great to see how the negotiations go down between GMs. In one instance where Brad Pitt goes to visit the Indians, and he's sort of surrounded by all of his like backup,
Yeah.
sort of like to intimidate him, and then the other instance where he's just calling GMs like, hey, you want this guy? I'll give you this guy, and then just calls another GM immediately after that and offers the same guy and just says like, I'm waiting to hear which one calls back first. So it's great to see like how he plays with the other GMs and just the negotiations of it. I really thought it was great to see.
Yeah, Billy Beane really is like fascinating, like what he did with like the Athletics and then the Red Sox and like ending their curse and stuff. The one thing that it doesn't really bother me in the movie, like I understand why they did it, but like put in the role of his family and then with like his daughter and
I
stuff.
thought he stayed with the A's.
No.
I thought it said that at the end.
No, he goes to the Red Sox
Oh,
and
okay.
they win the World Series and the Athletics just go to shit.
I thought it said like he had the option to go to the Red Sox, but then he stayed, and then they.
Yeah, you might be right actually about that.
Yeah, he did, because I just looked it up.
Yeah, Theo. Shout out to Theo. But I understand why they did it, because if you're just talking about baseball and numbers the whole time, there's not really a big market for that. If you bring in family, you can sell that to a lot more people, but I really wish they just kind of did focus more on baseball and like the numbers behind it, just because that kind of thing interests me.
Yeah, I thought the family thing was gonna like bother me at first, because it was like, I get it, but it doesn't really need it in this movie. But then it did sort of play into like his decision in the end, I think, of like why he stayed in Oakland. So I think that it sort of paid off. But I mean, if you took some of that out, you could have made the movie 15 minutes shorter, and maybe that would have been an improvement. I did also think that they really made it interesting, like all the numbers and the stats, and they made it digestible for like the common
that
viewer.
way everybody understands it.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting. It's based on a book from the same guy who wrote the book The Big Short, which does the same thing, where it makes like the housing industry really digestible. Yeah. So it did a good job with that, and then they really just make you care about these characters. Really, really well acted film. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. Nick, did you have anything else on Moneyball?
No. Strong movie.
Yeah, and at the beginning, like, it's like what happens to them is almost like what's been happening to the Reds like in the past year, where they just lost like all of their good players, and it's fascinating to see how he really turned that around, at least for a little while. They had the streak.
There's some differences. Like the A's, they're going out like trading for like older players kind of signing older players,
Yeah.
whereas the Reds are trading for prospects. But shout out to Jason Giambi's brother. What's his name?
I think Jeremy Giambi.
Jeremy Giambi. Yeah, I like Jeremy Giambi.
I'm also a fan.
Jeremy Giambi, if you're listening, feel free to come on. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
We
He's
should get
probably
him on
not
the
doing
show.
anything.
And anytime you want, just DM Andrew MacLean.
All right, next movie we have is Bull Durham. So I believe I'm the only one who's seen this one, but I definitely recommend you guys check it out. Might be my favorite movie on here.
Really?
Just a great comedy and a great baseball movie. You got Kevin Costner and Tim Robbins. Both are hilarious in this film, and it's real funny because there's a lot of scenes where Tim Robbins plays the pitcher and they'll call the other guys up to the mound, have a meeting, and they won't even be talking about the game. They'll just come to talk about sex or whatever. Just real funny conversations happen in the middle of a game, and the manager will come out and be like, "Hey, what's going on here?" And they're like, "Oh, we were just talking about how he got laid this weekend," or something like that. So it's real funny. I'm
assuming the team isn't good.
It's a minor league team.
Okay.
And so the story's about how they're trying to bring up.
Is it about the Durham Bulls?
Yeah, the Durham
Okay.
Bulls. I've actually been to their stadium. It's a pretty nice stadium in Durham. But they're trying to bring up Tim Robbins to the major leagues. So they bring in what's his name, Kevin Costner, who's
Yeah.
an older guy, to sort of get him in line because he's a loose cannon sort of.
Okay.
So they want to get him in line. So the team's they're all right. I think they said that in the past they haven't had good seasons, but they have a good season this year with this new pitcher. And it's also a lot about this character played by Susan Sarandon, who has a relationship with what's his name, Tim Robbins,
Robbins.
and then also has has feelings for Kevin Costner too, which I'm not always a big fan of relationship movies, but
Yeah.
it works well in this film because there's a lot of good dialogue and it's pretty funny. So I definitely recommend it to anyone, and good baseball scenes as well.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a good movie. I'll probably check that out.
Yep. Next up we have Trouble with the Curve. So you guys have both seen this.
Yeah.
I have not.
Clint Eastwood's in this. Him and his daughter. Do you know who plays his daughter's again?
Amy Adams.
Yeah, the chick
Amy
in the
Adams.
Bible, yeah.
And the whole kind of underlying thing is that Clint Eastwood's developing dementia. So, and he works for the Atlanta Braves, I think it is. And the whole time they're trying to move him out as the head scout and move this younger guy in who's kind of a D-bag. And so they're just waiting for him to screw up pretty much. That way they can say, hey, you need to retire, which they kind of start off the movie by saying, when are you going to retire? You're getting old. And then they kind of realize that he has some health problems, and that he's deteriorating pretty fast. But I think that that's also a pretty good movie. It has some good baseball scenes, but then just has some good scenes about life, really. Scannick, how do you feel?
I haven't seen it in a while, but I know it's a pretty strong movie. Clint Eastwood is always a classic guy. And, yeah.
That's the last movie he's acted in. He's directed a lot since then.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. It's on Netflix right now.
Okay.
For those of you out there who are interested.
Yeah, I'm a big Clint
You just
Eastwood
watch it
fan, so I
recently?
might watch it.
No.
No.
I just remember it.
You've just seen it?
Got one of those HBO free trials a few years ago.
No. Yeah. Check it out.
These are always classic.
So,
You just
yeah,
keep
like-
renewing it with a different email.
No.
address.
Like, do you have DirecTV?
No.
They do this thing where I don't even know how it's pretty random, but they just give you HBO free trial.
Oh, that's cool. We got something like that for Showtime, but Showtime
Yeah, it's
sucks.
HBO and Showtime.
Okay.
Or Cinemax.
Okay.
Skinemax.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoa.
Sig's favorite channel.
Yeah.
All right,
Check
we
it out.
got Sandlot next. So, Sig, how about you start us off?
Sandlot's a great movie. I mean, it just makes you want to go out, in a random field, just play baseball with
Hit
your
some balls
buddies.
with the boys.
Yeah. You just reminds me of my childhood, I feel like. I used to watch that movie all the time, and I didn't even like baseball, but when I watch that movie, I'm like, I'm going to go get my friends, go play baseball. That's just how that movie makes me feel.
Yeah, that trilogy is probably one of the best around.
Yeah, maybe the best to ever
Probably
hit
the best
the cinematic
trilogy.
universe.
Yeah.
Whoa, better than Home Alone 3?
Okay, yeah, no, Home Alone 3.
All right, Home Alone. Yeah, it's up there with Home Alone then.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, Benny the Jet Rodriguez. I think we all wanted to be him.
I'm surprised he didn't win, like any awards.
Yeah, an Oscar or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Grammy?
Yeah, Emmy?
One of those. Like, I thought he was going to win one of those.
He inspired me.
Yeah.
Inspired.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to be that guy.
Yeah.
You know, I was never, like, a huge fan of The Sandlot. I definitely understand, like, why everyone loves it. Like you say, like, it just makes you want to go out and play baseball. I guess just because I was never a big baseball guy as a kid. But, you know, it's definitely a good movie. It is a lot of fun, especially if you're younger. Definitely inspires you. So I understand where you're coming from. I just never really was one of my favorites.
Yes, and this will be the last movie I'm talking about, as I'm going to tag myself out and go pay the bills.
Wait, for real?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see ya.
Yes, thank you.
Bye.
All right. Well, it's just me and Siggy now, and our next film is
Big time chilling.
42, with Chadwick Boseman and Harrison Ford, actually. Take some Oreos on your way out.
Those are scannings.
All right. So, Siggy, what do you think of 42?
42's good movie. Jackie Robinson changed the game of baseball. Brought the African American culture into baseball, and I think this movie tells a great story and shows really how he made his way into the league.
Yeah, no, I think it's an important story, and it really deals with the race relations, and it shows how he overcame a lot, and I think it's a well-acted, well-made film. I think it's also good that we're probably talking about this while Magnus is not here.
Yeah,
but,
this is the subject Magnus would get a little, yeah, you know.
But yeah, it's a good film, and has a lot of good actual scenes of baseball that you can get into, and I think it's a great dramatic baseball film. While we talked about a lot of comedies on here, it's a film that really everyone should see for the importance of how it changed the game.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I'd recommend it to anyone.
Awesome.
Do you have a whole lot else on 42?
Not really.
All right. Magnus wanted to talk about the Benchwarmers. Do you want to talk about the Benchwarmers?
Benchwarmers is another one of those movies just loved as a kid, and I know it's not one of your favorites, but it just has some lines that I'll never forget. I'll probably use them my whole life. They may be stupid, but you know.
Yeah, it's a terrible movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you talk about a movie led by Rob Schneider. It cannot be good.
Rob Schneider might be one of my favorite actors.
He is one of the worst comedians of all time. So this movie, I liked it when I was 6 when it came out, and looking back, it's terrible. John Lovitz is pretty good, but that's about all I can say about it.
Wait,
good.
who's John Lovitz? Is that's the rich guy, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
the rich guy.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it's good for like kids to see, like, hey, if you're not the best, you can still believe.
Yeah, it's got a nice nice theme.
But then they throw in all that terrible humor, so I can't say that I appreciate the Benchwarmers, but hey, it's whatever.
Yeah, I get that.
All right, the last film we have today is Major League. You haven't seen it.
I have not seen it.
Michael had seen it, but I've seen Major League, and I can say it's another very funny baseball movie. Charlie Sheen is in this one, and it's about the owner of the Indians tries to put together a really terrible team so that she can move the team to Miami. Because if they're doing really bad, then there won't be a market for it in Cleveland, and the team actually ends up doing really well to spite her. And it's real funny, and at the end they have like one of the coolest walkout scenes, like of like, I don't know if that's the right word, like when Charlie Sheen comes out from the bullpen to pitch for the ninth. It's a pretty awesome scene. They got Wild Thing playing. That's like his song.
Yeah, it's his nickname.
It's a great entrance for anyway. That's the word I was looking for. And then just a lot of intense, like a tight game there at the end that you really invested in. And it's very funny as well. And it's funny because like the commentators know that no one's watching because the Indians are so bad at the beginning, so the commentators just say whatever the hell they want, and they're like, you can't say that on TV. Like, No one was listening. So it's real funny, great baseball movie. I definitely recommend it.
Check it out.
All right, well, that is all we have today. Thank you, Nick, for coming in, and thanks to Michael if you're listening. Probably not, but thanks for coming by, Michael. So we'll be back next week to discuss spoof movies. I hope you'll join us then, and I thank you for joining us today. And until then, may the force be with you.